And we are live. So, greetings, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Renegade Operative, and today we will be doing a podcast on our personal reflection of Game of the Year or our Game of the Year awards for 2019. So, I'm going to introduce the panel. Obviously, I'm the host, and next we have Captain Chaos.
What's going on, guys?
Next up, we have Nami or Nam.
Just Nom will be fine.
Okay. Next up, we have Andre.
Oh, what up, guys? Andre B Venom here.
Cryo, with your infinite wisdom and your Jar Jar voice.
Mr. Glad to be here.
Oh my god.
But anyway, hey guys, it's Cryo.
And last but not least, we have Arlena.
How's it going, guys?
Alright, so we're going to get into the hard one first, and that is our most anticipated game of 2020. And here we have the nominations: Neo 2, Final Fantasy VII Remake, Last of Us Part 2, Ghost of Tsushima, Cyberpunk, Halo Infinite, Doom Eternal, and Resident Evil 3 Remake. So who wants to go first on this with their choices?
I could go. I could go first, real quick. For me, it's kind of tied between Last of Us 2 and Ghost of Sushi, but to be honest, I don't know, because I've played, a game. I played, a genre that, or well, the type of game that Last of Us and Last of Us 2 is, but with Ghost of Sushi, I have never played that type of game before. I know that the maker of Ghost will be Sucker Punch, which they're the ones that actually created the Infamous series. So if it's going to be sort of like that, then hell yeah, I am going to enjoy that very much. It's been a while since I've actually played an Infamous game. Next.
I'll go real quick. It's a lot of these I really am looking forward to, like Resident Evil 3 Remake, Doom Eternal, Cyberpunk, Last of Us, Ghost of Tsushima, Final Fantasy. But if I had to pick one, it would probably be RE3 Remake. I'm a huge fan of the RE series. This is no sort of like debate on my side. I love this series for a long time. I really am looking forward to seeing how they do it. But as for if I had another honorable mention, if I only had to pick one, I really want to see how Doom turns out. I fucking love Doom 2016. That game was amazing when it came out, and I'm looking forward to seeing what type of innovations and stuff they do with the sequel. I like that there's dashing now. I like that there's like more mobility. I am loving the fact that Doomslayer just comes in, grabs a guy by his key card, he rings him by the neck, and he says, "You know what? I'm gonna open this door, and there's nothing you can do about it." It's so cool, dude. So,
Yeah, most likely with the new Doom game, they're gonna add new elements to it, because it seems like with every Doom game, there's always something new, whether it's a mechanic or anything like that.
yeah.
So I
So,
heard it's 22 hours long.
oh yeah. So it
Wow.
sounds even longer than the first one. Looking forward to
From
that.
what
Oh,
I've
yeah.
seen of that Doom Eternal or whatever, I've seen that I think the map design of it looks a lot superior than to 2016, because I think there's a lot more shortcuts you can take in the middle of the map rather than just having a big sort of circular trail that you usually go through.
Yeah,
Because
I
my-
also
sorry.
heard it's going to apparently be more story focused as well, and which is different from the original or the 2016 one at least.
Yeah, the way that the footage that we've seen already, it does seem like you can choose more. There's like more than one path that you can actually take to get to the objective, which I actually hope so. I'm not I I don't mind linear paths, but I do like the fact that some games actually give you an option to, you don't want to go the middle path? Okay, here's the left path. Oh, you don't want to go to the left? Here's the right path. Oh, you want to take the most complicated path? Okay, go for it. Like I like that. It basically lets the player do whatever he or she wants.
Yeah, I'm more excited to see the I guess like the encounter areas, the sort of little arenas they give you. A lot of the ones in 2016 felt very similar because there wasn't as much emphasis on the mobility. And since like the newer one is adding like that little mechanic where you can swing off poles and get a lot of height, that alone can add a lot to the map design.
Especially the glory kills, especially if there's going to be newer ones too.
But really quickly, does someone else want to go next?
I'll go.
You can go, Chaos.
Okay. Yeah, with 2020, it seems like it's really going to be the year of really big game releases because there's like so many different things coming out. I really have a hard time, honestly, picking one in particular that I'm looking forward to. Um, like I feel like we're a lot of the big ones, like one big one in particular, obviously is FF7 remake. And I am excited for that, but I have not played the original game. But then again, I also hear the remake is going to be pretty different from the original game, so I'm really interested to see like what they're going to do with where they take the story and how it's going to be different from the original game. Um, I'm also interested in what they do with RE3, and that's another game I have not really played the original of. I'm not as big of a Resident Evil fanatic as Renegade is, though, but I am still looking forward to RE3 because I really did enjoy Resident Evil 2 remake and what they did with the RE engine. So I was pretty impressed with that. But I guess like the one, if I were to pick one, and this is admittedly because I am pretty biased, I do really like CD Projekt Red. I'm looking forward to Cyberpunk 2077. It seems like a very ambitious game, like what they're trying to do and how big the world is going to be. So like, and also I really like the setting. Um, I'm also really interested in Ghost of Tsushima and like because I really like the feudal Japan setting, um, and I want to like actually in contrast to what Cryo said, it feels more like a departure from what Sucker Punch has done with the Infamous games because of where it's the setting and what we've seen of the combat. It does seem to be fairly like a pretty big difference between that and their previous what they've done previously. So I'm pretty interested to see what that game's going to be about. It's just not enough that I've really seen to really say like that's definitely a game I'm really excited for. Uh, Last of Us 2, like I'm really iffy on it. Like I just don't. It just really depends on where they take the story and what they're planning to do with like Ellie's character and Joel's character, and I just don't really feel like I know enough about that yet to say I'm like really hyped for it. Um, I would definitely just have to say Cyberpunk. Like that just looks like a game I would really enjoy. Uh, Hopefully, it is pretty well optimized when it comes out, though, because I have been hearing that they have been downgrading the game because of the consoles. So I'm kind of disappointed if that's the case. But I mean, I kind of understand at the same time why it has to be done. But yeah, other than that, I'm pretty excited for that game.
Yeah, I mean, in terms, I don't mean to cut you off, Ren, but I will say in terms of like downgrading and everything like that, it depends on like how heavily is it? Is it like heavily downgraded? Is it going to be light downgrade?
They cited specifically that the consoles currently are the reasons why it's being like pushed back a little bit. So I assume graphics performance would be the main basis of that.
Yeah, I mean, for me personally, I mean, there's been games out there that had to be, you know, downgraded because of one platform or another, but usually the end product, I mean, the game comes out still looking beautiful. So I think that's what CD Projekt Red has in mind, which is why obviously they did the delay because they want to make sure that it's polished out because I mean, they basically showcase the game as something majestic, something beautiful for people to, you know, play.
Probably just best to get it on PC, but we got to move on to the next person.
Yep. All right then. Oh yeah, I'll go. Me. Let's see. Let me check. Most anticipated. Well, there's a lot of games I'm looking forward to, but I think the several I'm the most interested in is Cyberpunk 2077, Resident Evil 3 Remake, Doom Eternal, and Ghost of Tsushima. I'm really looking forward to those games. Did I say FF7 Remake? Or
I don't think you did.
No. I actually just reminded me too. I forgot to say I can't believe I even forgot. Yeah, I'm really excited for Doom Eternal. It's really between that and Cyberpunk for me.
Oh yeah,
That game's gonna be fucking amazing, I think.
yeah. I'm a little iffy on 7 because of the episodic format, but at the same time, I won't deny that the game does look really good, and I am actually pretty excited for it.
Honestly,
But
with that logic, I think that there is no other way they could have done the game without taking 12 years to make it. If it was the whole
yeah,
experience with those
I have to
graphics,
agree.
it would have took like 10 years to complete it. So,
Oh yeah, because they'd have to. Because truth be told, I think it'd be like a decade till we get the game. So, but hey, I'm glad at least we're getting the game like this year. I mean, I think that's it for me, honestly, for most anticipated.
anyone else want to give
All
this a
right,
shot?
so I guess I'll go next.
All right.
You see, I tried my hardest not to break this little anticipation sort of mentions over here, but these are all wrong. The real answer is Persona 5 Hard R. That's the thing that we should all be looking forward to.
Oh god.
But
Five
to
hard.
be fair, that's kind of a re-release of an already completed game with like just extra stuff. So if I were to drop that, I would probably put Final Fantasy 7 because just the trailers for the remake actually got me to play the original game about like 8 months ago. And I can certainly see why a lot of people like really wanted this remake to come out. There's a lot of great qualities about it. And
Oh
I'm
yeah,
actually
definitely.
and I'm very interested to see how they can take like a traditional turn-based RPG and turn it into like more of an action-based one like the Kingdom Hearts series.
Well, they did try to kind of try to do that with FF 15. So hopefully it'll be like a more refined version of that. But I mean, they did show in the what was it, E3 or that it was going to be more like it was going to implement some like not turn based, but
Yeah, the
real
I'm sorry to
time.
interrupt. Yeah.
Yeah, like whatever you call that system, like
It's
Classic
called
mode.
the ATB.
Yeah,
yeah,
it's classic
ATB.
mode.
Yeah.
Yep.
So kind of like Final Fantasy 12 a little bit, because I remember 12 had something like that, like combat system like that.
Yeah, it's pretty much for the nostalgia crowd that wants to play the game like that, focus on full ATB.
Yeah, well, other than that, I guess the only real thing about the Final Fantasy VII remake that kind of worries me is since we all know it's like an episodic thing at this point, and they're not changing that. It's just that because it all takes place in the opening area of the game Midgar, and they did say that they expanded it. I'm just curious on what kind of content they have in it, and if it's exactly like worth the expansion.
From what I heard, it goes up to I believe the end of Midgar. That's what I've heard though. So
They
that
said the
could
game
change.
is 60 hours, so yeah, you do have to worry, is that going to be more changes to the main story for the better, or will that just be padding for like grinding or mini games or stuff like that? Because I noticed that like most of the mini games have been highlighted so far, and I'm like, will that be like more content that they're offering there, or will it be more story? We just don't know yet.
Yeah, because from what I've seen, I know the story in the original wasn't super long, at least in Midgard, but I feel like they're expanding upon it more, which is a good thing.
I feel like the best thing they can really do is just give more context to the area. I just don't want it to be like too bloated where it drags down the
Mhm.
overall sort of pace of what the story was.
Yeah, I understand that. So anyone else want to go on this?
I think for me, in all honesty, it would have to be Last of Us 2 and the RE3 remake. Because admittedly, I've never played the first Last of Us, and it's one of those kind of games where I do want to play it, but I've never really had the time to play it. And I've played a few Resident Evil games when I was younger, even though I probably shouldn't have because I was a kid. But it was like one of those games that my parents had, and I saw my brother playing them. And one of the jump scares got me when I was a kid, and I was like, "Nope, putting that down, going away." But yeah, I think that's pretty much it for me.
Hello? Can you guys hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All
Hear
right,
you.
so we are moving on to best action game of 2019. This one's easy for me. So we have Control, Sekiro, Astral Chain, DMC5, Call of Duty, and Judgment. For me, it's easy. It's DMC5. I think that was hands
I'm gonna
down.
go ahead and just agree with that because
Wholeheartedly.
I don't really have it. Like the only other game I played
Um,
on there is Sekiro. And as much as I kind of like Sekiro's combat, like I just find the whole game to be really just unbalanced in terms of difficulty. Like it just
Yeah.
I do not like that about the game. DMC5, I haven't beaten it, and I really feel like I have to beat it to have like a full opinion about it. But I mean, I would have to say DMC5.
It's a
I
great
enjoyed the
game.
combat system.
Yeah,
Yeah, like the
It's really
combat.
good.
Like I really feel like it's a complete refinement of all the the combat systems of Devil May Cry that we had in the previous games. It's like they took that and they just made it so much better. I think.
It-
So yeah, like yeah, like they just improved like everything from DMC4. So I would have to agree with that.
and I
yeah,
played like
DMC.
I played Sekiro on this list. Also, I'm sorry to cut you off, but I played
Oh.
Sekiro on this list, and it's a frustrating game to play and sit down. I enjoyed it. However, I just can't play it for long periods of time in comparison
Oh,
to DMC5.
Ren, hold on a second. I think you missed the game. Did you put Jedi Fallen Order on the action?
It's
action
in
game?
it's in Best Adventure to compensate, and it's also
Okay.
in Game of the Year, I believe. But it will definitely get its recognition when we get to it. However, I do think that DMC5 just takes it because it's enjoyable to play, it's fun, it's engaging. If you're a fan of the series before, you're probably gonna love this game because it feels like a more refined DMC4, and they actually took time to flesh out the story instead of like how they did it with DMC4, where Dante doesn't get like additional levels, he backtracks. I'm glad that he gets more opportunity to shine in this game in the later half.
Yeah, I'm actually kind of surprised that RE2 didn't get on the list.
It is on the list for Game of the Year and Best Adventure, so we're getting to it.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, I don't know. For me, I don't know.
It's kind of hard
I
to see RE2 as like Best Action because it's like survival, so you're trying to like yeah.
I mean, it does
Yeah.
have a tiny like a slight glimmer of action in it, though.
I just don't think it's enough to really be considered like a action game. I mean, like it does kind of play a little bit like RE4, but it's not.
Well,
It's more
I don't
There's
know.
on the
much more of an
survival.
emphasis on trying to survive and not really
Yeah.
so much as like
I think it's
need
one of
to
those.
shoot everything.
I think it's one of those agree to disagree type of things because a lot of people say RE2 remake is a action horror.
I think it's more like adventure. You're like exploring puzzles, all that stuff. So
It's
we'll go there.
definitely that. I think it's
Yeah.
definitely Capcom trying to go back to the roots of the franchise. I mean, they're implementing like things from RE4 and some of the like RE4, RE5, but they're the idea is to try to go back to being more survival horror oriented.
Yeah.
Than like action, purely just action horror.
If it was like RE5 where I'm like meleeing people's heads off, I would
punching
agree there.
boulders.
Yeah, but I can't agree on this instance. Like Leon can barely like even touch a zombie without being bitten. So
X gonna give it to you though. Remember?
no, yeah.
Oh boy.
I had to bring it up.
However, anyone else wants to take this question and go on this?
All right. Well, I believe that Devil May Cry 2's Nintendo Switch port was probably the best action game of the year.
Oh my
without a doubt.
god.
I thought you were serious at first, though.
Oh my god.
Yeah, but there's not much that I it's kind of hard to compete with Devil May Cry 5 in terms of just pure mechanics and just the variety of expression you can have with what you can do in that game.
Like, name
Yeah.
one game where you have where you can use a hat that shoots red orbs, and you use a motorcycle that's attached with chainsaws.
But God
Gary's
of War
mod
2018 has much more complicated combat.
Sometimes you don't have to press R1.
But yeah, for
Should
me,
you throw the
DMC5
axe or
is-
should you just smash the?
Nah, but for me, DMC5 easily. I love that game. It's such a phenomenal game. I think everyone should play it. It's definitely worth it.
Uh,
But go on.
I guess for me, I don't know. I haven't played it, but I've seen a lot of shit for it. I mean, it definitely does look like it would be the best action, and given the hype around it, it's well deserved kind of hype. It's not blind hype, if that makes any sense. Like there's actually legitimate reasons why one individual or many individuals would actually really get hyped about DMC5.
Yeah, it's not
So
like
for me, I would say,
CG.
yeah, I
Oh,
would say
sorry.
DCM at DCM. I got confused.
Yeah,
DMC5.
yeah.
Mm.
Because initially I had like
But
really mixed feelings on the game, but I think
you
once
know,
I saw more trailers, my
you
hype went up considerably.
know,
Go on,
you
Cry.
know, Andre, I will have to say what you said before about the chains and the hat and shit like that. I forgot. You're forgetting one thing, man. Gary's mod. Gary's mod is where it's at, Kappa. You can do whatever you want.
Oh god, DMC5 and Gary's mod.
Oh,
Oh
could you
god.
imagine?
Oh god.
Yeah, the only legit runner up here would be COD in my opinion. Because I did like the campaign for what it was, and I do occasionally enjoy the multiplayer. Other than that, it's not like something that I would put over DMC5, but that's an honorable mention for me.
Yeah, I would actually agree with that too. I mean, it for me personally as a COD fan, it was one of the best COD games I've played since like the last good COD game that I played was like Modern Warfare 3 and like Black Ops 2. After that, the series kind of just went really downhill. So,
Anyone else want to take this one?
I think for me, hands down, honestly, has to be DMC5. Because, and this is actually going to be a funny story, because when it was shown off at E3, I was taking a nap. Like, I, as a joke, said on Twitter, wake me up when they announced DMC5. Not even 10 minutes later, I get 3 responses saying, they just did. And one of my acquaintances was, like, flipping his shit over it. And of course, completing the game, it's really fun. I love the story, and I've talked about it so much. My boyfriend actually started playing it. He hasn't finished it, and one of my online friends on here I do Dungeons and Dragons with, he said that he loved it, and of course, his favorite character is V. and of course, even later on, obviously, in MomoCon, if you guys haven't seen with my profile picture, I got to meet the voice actor for Dante, Ruben.
Oh, same here. Actually, I met Ruben. Oddly
And
enough.
that the man that can roll guard a bullet in real life. Holy shit!
Yeah. Yeah, I heard about that and I read the news articles and I was like, well, good to know that my February is better than his. I had gotten into a car accident like a week before his thing happened.
Yeah,
Oof.
So,
that's
Sorry
such
to
an
hear that.
unfortunate thing, but I'm just so glad that he made it and he was so happy to promote the game.
oh yeah. But
He does
yeah,
kind of
and
look like Dante.
oh yeah. That was before he cut his hair for charity.
Hmm.
One thing I'll never forget about DMC5's announcement was probably everybody mistaking Nero as Dante.
Oh, that's another topic for another
Yeah, I
day.
saw
You
that.
mean Dante?
Like, who is Dante? Why does he look like this?
I was like, oh my god, DMC2, kill me now.
I would have been
This.
I would have given them credit if they made a DMC Devil May Cry 2. Like that would have been funny.
Oh, I think the fan base would have been in disarray if they did that. I just
trust
have
me,
a
I would have
feeling-
been like trust
I
me, I would
would've
have thrown
been
myself
pissed.
out of a window, but like I think it would have been funny.
I thought it was Dante until I heard him talk. I was like, oh, it's Johnny Young Bosch. Okay, never mind.
All right, so anyone else for best action game before we move on? Going once, going twice, sold to the lady in red. So we're gonna move to best RPG, and the nominees are Monster Hunter World Iceborne, The Outer Worlds, Kingdom Hearts 3, Greedfall, Disco Elysium, Fire Emblem Three Houses, Code Vein, and Bloodstained Ritual of the Night.
I
Damn.
I would I don't know. For me, in terms of content. Plus, we haven't seen. Well, to be honest, we haven't had a game like this in a while. At least in terms of like good Fallout games for a while. I I will have to say the Outer Worlds actually spoke out to me more than anything. Because with this, it didn't look like they would just simply, just slapping a name on it, just slapping some models here and there, and just decided to sell it for cash, like Bethesda did and shit like that with their games. It looked like Obsidian actually took the time with this game and took actual time with it. They didn't just look at their clock and go, "Oh, well, 5 seconds up. Okay, we're done with this game." They actually put put their heart and soul into the game, in my opinion.
I have to agree, definitely.
Who else wants to go on this?
All right, I'm gonna be the Debbie Downer for a second and say that fuck Outer Worlds, Kingdom Hearts 3 is probably the best one I played this year.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Okay, let me just say one thing real quick. I don't think Outer Worlds is terrible. I just think that it feels like a lot of the response to it is because of the retroactive shit that's been going on with Bethesda. I feel like, mechanically speaking, it's not super interesting, but also I don't feel like the writing is very subtle. Well, it's as subtle as it could be. And I personally picked Kingdom Hearts 3 because, first of all, I'm biased, and second of all, it's probably because I just enjoyed playing that game more despite its disappointing story.
Okay, I have to 1 second. Ren, can we add something to the document? Can we add most disappointing game?
I mean, that could be like a side question. I don't mind that.
I think we could do that as a side question. That could work.
Yeah, that could be like the final topic.
Yes, please.
Yeah, that could be a side question. Everyone's like most disappointing game of the year. It has to go down.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah,
boy.
that definitely should be the closer.
Yeah, we could do
All
that.
right, I feel like I've already been blocked by 3 people, so I feel like I do enjoy the mechanics of that game. I enjoy a lot of the things it does do well, but I feel as though it's just too easy. Like,
Yes, thank you.
Like, it's like newer Pokemon games where you can just win by pressing one button.
Spam Disneyland rides.
Yeah, the attraction flow rides are so overpowered that they made an update so you can turn them off.
Jesus.
Like,
Yeah.
I haven't played the Remind DLC. I'm very sorry for interrupting you, but I haven't played the DLC. I did see what the new Super Boss looks like, and I'm a very sucker for like challenging fights in those kind of games. Like Kingdom Hearts 2, the secret boss in that game is probably my favorite boss battle of all time. But I just don't think that it was balanced all too well, and it definitely suffers because of it.
For me, this is gonna be. Oh, you want to go first, Chaos?
Oh, yeah, I'll go ahead. I don't know. I mean, like, yeah, I guess the Kingdom Hearts 3 is in this category. It's definitely not Kingdom Hearts 3 for me. And I say this as someone who is actually still is a big fan of Kingdom Hearts. But yeah, I guess for me, like, it would probably be Greedfall. Actually, like, I don't think anybody else on here probably has even played Greedfall, but I was interested in the premise of it, so I played it. I decided to check it out, and I was definitely like. I was impressed by it. Like, I was pleasantly surprised by the game. I wasn't really expecting much, but it's a pretty good RPG. Like, it's basically think of Dragon Age 1. Like, it's not the same company. It's not BioWare. It's this I think it's a French company, Spiders. They made the game, and it feels a lot like an old school BioWare game. Like, you have your party. And there's a lot of like it's a big open, well, kind of, I guess you could kind of say it's sort of an open world. Like, there's different areas you go to, and it's kind of cut off by different locations you can fast travel to. And a lot of the side quests, they feel like they're very intriguing. They're not boring and fetch quests. Like, some of them can be, but like the storyline and the side quests are actually interesting. So there's like a lot to the game. It's not just like filler content in the game where like, you know, you need to grind, you know, in order to progress in the story or anything. It feels like there was genuine like thought put into a lot of what's in the game. I haven't beaten the game yet, so I can't really say, you know, I can't really give my full opinion on the game yet. But so far, like what I've played, it's good. The only issue I have with it is there's a lot of I think there's a lot of technical issues on at least on the PC version that I feel like needs to be ironed out. Specifically, there is an issue where after a while the frame rate seems to dip pretty bad, and I can't really figure out why a lot of people are having this issue. And I don't think they fixed it yet. So that's the worst thing I can really say about the game so far. But it's a pretty good game if you like good characters, if you like you know, building actual bonds with like your party members and a good storyline. I think you'll really enjoy Greedfall. Yeah, especially if you, like I said, if you like old school BioWare. It really feels like BioWare before they went to shit. So it's yeah, I would definitely highly recommend Greedfall.
I'm trying to think. My choice is gonna be like very quick. I did like this game as an honorable mention, but I haven't like really touched the DLC. I would say I am liking all the content that Monster Hunter World is offering in terms of Iceborne. So I would definitely recommend people pick that up, and I want to get into it like a little bit later on. But the only game I really played on here that I thoroughly enjoyed is Code Vein. I think Code Vein was great. It does have its issues, like with the whole frame rate thing and whatnot, but honestly, it's a solid game that I thought really surprised me. I thought it was gonna go like super under the radar and just be like just bland, basic, and boring, but it really actually surprised me when I was playing it with James. So I would say Code Vein was thoroughly entertaining.
Mm.
I've been meaning to pick up that game, so I'll have to check it out.
What about
For
anyone else
me,
on this? Go ahead, Andre.
it's tough. I haven't played I did play Monster Hunter World, and I really did love it, but I haven't played the DLC, so I would say I do want to play. I should like Code Vein and Outer Worlds. I really do want to play. Also Bloodstained, but like I said, backlog and money. But yeah, Monster Hunter World Iceborne for me.
All right, Lena, did you go?
I really didn't play much when it comes to RPGs, but I will say from what I've played in Monster Hunter World, it seems like a pretty good game, but unfortunately, I've been having trouble getting it to like do some things because apparently it's saying like, you know, stand by until like a download's complete or something like that. And of course, I got the full game. Like I even went out to GameStop and picked up like a copy, and then I I don't know what's wrong with it, but from what I've played, it's pretty good.
All right, so anyone else before we move on? Move on to the next one.
Oh yeah, yeah. Yeah. We're forgetting like the best game here.
What is it?
What is it?
Anthem.
Anthem is a game.
Speaking of BioWare.
That's safe for the worst list, good sir.
We gotta pour one out for BioWare.
All right, but I think we can move on to like best adventure, which will be interesting. So,
Yeah.
we have the nominees here: Resident Evil 2 remake, Borderlands 3, Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, The Outer Worlds, Death Stranding, A Plague's Tale: Innocence, Sekiro: Shadows Die Twice, The Legend of Zelda: Link's Awakening, Bloodstained, and Judgment. Who wants to go first?
I'll go. I guess I'll go quickly.
All right.
It's a toss-up between RE2 Remake and Judgment because I really enjoyed Resident Evil 2. I think it's a really good game. I do think the game suffers a bit at the end, a little like the lab portion, but I really like. But I still enjoy Judgment. It's a good game, but like I said, Yakuza games aren't for everyone. It's kind of like for like a niche fan base. But I'd say it's still a decent game. But I probably I guess would give it to RE2 because I really did. It's hard to really say, so I guess maybe Judgment. RE2 was good though. I'm not gonna lie. It's honorable mention. Yeah, I'm done with that one.
Anyone else?
Best action game. it's probably a toss up for me between Plague Tale: Innocence and Jedi Fallen Order. Um, Plague Tale was like I feel like more people need to play because I don't really hear that many people talk about it. But a lot of the people I have heard talk about it, they really praise the game, and I have to I have to completely agree. It's a surprisingly good game. Like it has I didn't think it would be all that great. It's one of those games I kind of got impulse bought, and yeah, like it has interesting characters, good story, set in uh, the French, in France during the that time period where the bubonic plague was going around. Of course, I don't think there were just like legions of super rats going around uh, eating anybody that stepped the dared step into the middle of the super rats. But other than that, I think it's a pretty interesting, like fairly accurate representation of how that was. But yeah, and good characters, good story. The gameplay is good. It doesn't really it doesn't ever really get that boring. I don't think it's a game that doesn't really outstay its welcome. It's about as long as it needs to be without feeling like, okay, I want this to be over with. Um it's a pretty good game. I would definitely say check it out. Jedi Fallen Order, I think I'm gonna have to say Jedi Fallen Order just because that game was also a pleasant surprise. And I think it was like one of the few rays of light we have in the in modern Star Wars, and after the Overlord Mouse has taken over and made everything terrible. It's one of the few Star Wars things made by people that actually care about Star Wars, and you can tell they care about Star Wars. It doesn't really try to connect to the sequel trilogy or anything. It's its own story. It has interesting characters. It goes back to it kind of goes back to some flashes back to the prequel timeline and has references to that. And the combat is pretty decent for the most part. People say it is kind of Souls like. They do try to make it feel a little bit like Souls, but I don't think I think it's a pretty good balance of difficulty. I just recommend playing on hard or the hardest difficulty because otherwise, I hear people say the game is too easy. So that's pretty much what I did. I just started off with the hardest difficulty, and it's not that hard. So, um, yeah, but it's a pretty good game. I would have to say Jedi Fallen Order for my best action game.
Let's see. So for me, I think for the best adventure, I would say that it's a toss up between Jedi Fallen Order and Resident Evil 2 Remake
Oh, best
because
adventure game. Sorry.
yeah, it's a toss up between Resident Evil 2 Remake and Jedi Fallen Order because I really did enjoy Jedi Fallen Order, like the combat. I thought the story, well, where I'm at for the most part, I think is pretty good. The way they set up the caverns and how you climb on everything and how there's like all these upgrades and there's these like scriptures on the wall and you get more backstory into what was going on the planets and the other characters. I thought that was awesome. But RA2, like I said, man, it's been a crazy ride waiting for that remake to come out as well. And just the sheer amount of things you can do, like the upgrading weapons and going around and exploring and figuring out these puzzles and dealing with the new mechanics with the creatures because that game was made from the ground up. I thought that was also interesting. So it's a tie between those two. Everything else I either heard of by word of mouth or I have not played yet. Anyone else wants to go?
All right, well, mine was pretty easy choice. It was going to be Fallen Order until a couple of weeks ago when I played Resident Evil 2 for the first time. I managed to binge through all that game relatively quickly, and my previous experience with that franchise was just dying to the first enemy on Resident Evil 1. And I also played Resident Evil 7 when that came out, but I wouldn't really consider myself a fan at that point. That was until I played Resident Evil 2, which actually got me very, very interested in a lot of the characters in the background of that game. And I very much appreciate the map design and how it's very interconnected, even though the police department is clearly the best part of the game, in my opinion.
Yeah.
But we can all agree, right, that the scariest part of Resident Evil 2 was seeing a big man in a trench coat and fedora running towards Claire, right?
Oh, Mr. X.
Oh god, Mr. X. Well, the thing is, he can't go through save rooms because you can actually exploit it enough, and he's not too bad to deal with.
Yeah, that was something I ended up doing a lot, especially when I was doing the Claire run through.
I
I would
cannot.
just sort of wait in safe rooms.
I can't wait until April because Nemesis is Mr. X. He's Mr. X on roids. That's all you need to know.
If you go into a save room and you get blown up by a rocket,
That's gonna be funny to see on stream.
that'd be amazing. I'd probably turn the game off after that. But nope.
Yeah, we're gonna see like a lot of new streamers just totally they do not know how to deal with this guy. It's gonna be quite
Resident
funny
Evil
to see.
Prepare to Die edition.
Yeah.
Oh, is that a sequel to Crash Bandicoot?
Oh my
Yeah.
god.
Yes, it is.
I remember when people were saying that. Jesus.
Crash has turned into Dark Souls.
Oh yeah, Dark.
Let's see.
Everything's Dark Souls.
Yep.
Cryo, you had something to say?
Mr. would have to say Star Wars The Jedi Fallen Order.
I knew you were gonna do that voice.
It's
Your
a
impression's
bad.
perfect.
It's a very bombad.
I had to think
Love
of
how
the
on the
word.
Force Unleashed you can find a Gungan frozen in carbonite.
Anyone
But-
else
but-
wants to go? Well, Cryo,
but,
go ahead, finish.
Yeah, I wanted to, like, all joking aside, like, explain why, with Fallen Order, like someone mentioned, you could clearly tell that the game makers were really into designing and making this game really great, with the character design, the story, the lore. It didn't feel like any like how Disney pushes their agenda on the new sequels and everything like that. It didn't feel like that was happening. It felt like it was actually handled with great care. Like these were like diehard, Star Wars fans working on a game, and they were like, what would the fans of the first like 6 films would want to see in a game like this? And it's like they put in little things that make people go, oh yeah, I remember that from that movie. And I liked how they didn't really do all that connecting to the new sequels, because I feel like that kind of would be a little in my opinion, it would kind of make me go a little like, oh, why did you do this?
I should mention there is only one little thing that apparently is trying to connect to the sequel
Rogue
trilogy.
One?
And it's
I thought
Star
it was-
Killer base.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's if you look into the after, I think it's after you beat the game. If you look into the description of I think it was Ilum, it's apparently one of it implies the First Order was they're trying to construct Starkiller Base or something. It doesn't make any sense, but yeah, that's in there. I feel like I don't think it was something that they decided to the developers themselves decided, hey, we should add this in. I feel like it was a certain someone was like, hey, you better do something.
Yeah, it was probably EA/Disney.
Yeah.
Apparently, in The Force Awakens, like I think it's called the Designer's Guide or something. Like that was the planet that they used. They just never explained it in the movie. So I guess
Because
it
there's
was...
no world building in the
Yeah, there's no
sequel
like they
trilogy,
just don't tell. By the way, the main villain's back. Lol. We don't say why.
Yeah. Hey, so for some reason Palpatine's back. That's literally a line in the movie, by the way. Somehow Palpatine has returned.
Hey, remember that old dude from the original trilogies? Yeah, he back.
Oh god.
Yeah,
Grandpa
even
Bad Touch.
Bad touch.
and this is actually coming from somebody that's normie to the Star Wars series is that when they showed Palpatine, I'm like, how, who, what, when?
Don't think about it.
Yeah, don't think too much on it.
A friend of mine told me it's a clone of Palpatine.
It's not. It's
It's
like
like-
supposed to be him.
Yeah, it's like the stupid designer guides that they always release that pretty much say, yeah, this is why our story makes sense. We're not going to explain it in the movie
Just
you're
read
watching.
the tie-in books, okay?
Yeah.
Don't just read all the tie-ins we're gonna release after this.
Just give us money.
Fine. Yeah, give us money.
All right.
Anyone else want to go to the next question or answer this one? Or are we done with Best Adventure? Going once, going twice. I think we're done with it. So this one's going to go by really fast, and that is best DLC or expansion. And I can tell because I haven't played any of this. We have Destiny 2, Shadowkeep, Civilization, Gathering Storm, Monster Hunter.
My favorite's definitely Civilization. I'll fucking just kidding.
Isn't that an RTS?
It's a simulation game where you can build a well, as the title implies, you build a civilization. And,
I feel terrible because I never heard of it.
You manage your fucking your country or whatever the fuck. I don't know. It's boring. I don't know. I know people like it. I just find it boring. I don't know.
Yeah. I feel bad that I never heard of it, but since you said
I've
that,
heard of it. I
so
just
bad.
don't. I've never had any interest in it.
Yeah.
Hold on, before you continue, Cryo, let me finish the nominations.
Oh yeah, I didn't know if you finished.
So here's Monster Hunter World Iceborne, Final Fantasy XIV Shadowbringers, No Man's Sky Beyond, Elder Scrolls Online Elsewhere. I think that's how you say that. Assassin's Creed Odyssey, The Fate of Atlantis, and Borderlands 3 Moxie's Heist of the Handsome Jackpot. So does anyone want to go on these?
I might.
Andre, you want to go first?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah, you go ahead and go first. Then I'll go after.
Probably, I guess, Monster Hunter Iceborne, if I'm being honest with you, because I have not played any of those other games. Like, I played FF14, but I haven't played like any of the expansions. I haven't played Elder Scrolls or Assassin's Creed or Destiny 2 or Borderlands 3, so probably Iceborne in all honesty, even though I haven't played, which I need to get around to. But, that's me.
I have never heard so much blasphemy in my ears in so long.
I'm just kidding. But I don't know, for me, because I've only played one of these games. I don't know, I'm not a hardcore fan or one of those fanboys of Destiny and Destiny 2 and everything like that, but for me, I like Destiny 2. I mean, I like the last two DLCs especially, because I felt like at this point they were giving even more like story and kind of like tickling every fan's pickle for the next sequel, or the next DLC, because it seems like they're with every DLC release, not only is there more content, like more weapons, like more weapon drops, or power boosts, or like multiplayer maps or anything like that, or like new activities to play. It's like they try to keep the fan base, like their interest up by adding new content for people to play with each DLC release. And I don't know, for me, I like Shadowkeep. Shadowkeep actually made me kind of go like, holy shit. But next.
All right, you see, I'm a rebel, so once again, I'm going to break this sort of nomination system, and I'm going to put down Joker from Persona 5 being in Smash Brothers Ultimate.
No.
This elevator does Smash?
Hell yeah, dude. Fucking Byleth, who cares? Joker's where it's at, baby. So, it's more of a personal thing because I don't really use Joker that much in Smash Brothers. I more so appreciate his inclusion for like what it means to this franchise that only me and like one other person in Idaho plays. So now that Atlas has finally hit the mainstream, I can now pretend I have good taste.
I was about to ask you. I mean, is your friend a potato?
Maybe.
I could actually imagine it, a potato having a controller right in front of it.
Are you talking about Jacksepticeye?
No,
Hmm.
I was actually thinking about Idaho from Gumball, The Amazing World of Gumball,
Gumball.
the talking potato.
Well, I was trying to roast him, so.
I was just.
I never played any of these, so my answer is brief. It's like, this is.
Oh, I thought that was your answer. I
Yeah.
thought your answer was just that brief.
Yeah, it is. It's
Yeah, my
brief
favorite
as shit.
DLC of the year, Brief.
Brief.
My
No
favorite
answer.
DLC of
Just
the
keep
year-
it brief.
Drops mic. Brief.
My favorite DLC of the year is the Virgil DLC.
Oh, the non-existent DLC. Apple.
I had to. I had to.
Jeez.
So anyone else want to go on this?
I'll say for me, and I've actually played these two before. Final Fantasy 14 and Elder Scrolls Online, because like not long after I graduated, my parents decided to give me an Xbox for Christmas because for God knows why, I don't know, because I didn't give them an answer on what I wanted for Christmas. And one of the games on it was like Elder Scrolls, and of course I played it nonstop. And of course, when I saw that you can basically fight dragons and kill them, I was like, I'm getting back on this game because I took a big break from it. And Final Fantasy 14, I did have played a little bit of it on my PlayStation, but I think once I get like a better laptop, because this thing's a piece of junk and it needs an upgrade badly, I'll probably play more of it because I got a buddy who he is obsessed with it. You cannot get him off of it, not even to play Friday the 13th.
For the nerds.
Somehow I knew that was gonna be said. But anyone else want to go on this before we move on? Going once, going twice, sold to the hooker. So we're going to move on to best art design of 2019.
Ooh, boy.
Okay, for a minute I thought you just said breast art.
No,
design
no,
of
no.
2019.
No.
I was like, first you mentioned a hooker and then breast.
No, no.
Then
That part was taken out of context, I swear. But we're talking about best art design, quotations, best art design of 2019, and the nominees are Devil May Cry 5, Gris, Sayonara Wild Hearts, Death Stranding, Control, Concrete Genie, Close to the Sun, and Disco Elysium.
Yeah, real quick, I will say, with DMC5 and Death Stranding, I know people give Death Stranding a lot of shit, and it's very understandable why. But I did like the design, like the art design. It was a beautiful game to go through. But I don't know. I'm torn between DMC5 and Death Stranding because both of them was actually pretty beautiful, to be honest. I mean, it was visually appealing, to be honest. So I'm torn. Again, I'm torn. I mean, I'd say 50-50 for me on both. I can't choose one or the other.
I have one very straightforward answer, DMC5, because it's the only game on this list I really played.
Mm-hmm.
I'll go by it real quickly, but Devil May Cry 5 easily. Like, it took me a while to get used to the RE engine, but after I think playing the game, I really do love the game. Like, visually it looks gorgeous, especially the character models, and the animations look really good too. Like, it's definitely like visual eye candy.
Yeah, I would have to agree. It's for me, it's Devil May Cry 5.
Yeah, I would also pick DMC5 because it looks really good, but also it runs very smooth.
Oh yeah, definitely.
Anyone else
yeah.
want to go on this?
DMC5 for me as well.
This seems to be like the widespread choice here.
I find it funny how we have less to talk about this than the DLC.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Yep.
But I guess we're moving on to best fighting game of 2019, and that is the nominations of Mortal Kombat 11, Power Rangers Battle for the Grid, Samurai Showdown, Dead or Alive 6, and Super Smash Bros. Ultimate.
Oh, it's obvious. It's Power Rangers. Don't you know this?
Call me crazy, but I was actually surprised by that game, even though
Alright,
it's
well,
it's
I-
budgeted indie.
Yeah, I did hear Power Rangers was actually pretty good.
Yeah,
I need to cop it. It looks fun.
it's hard for me to say because I haven't played Sam Show. I'm pretty sure if it was like in my backlog right now and I was playing it, it would be Sam Show. But I have to say Mortal Kombat 11. Now there is problems with this game. Like the micros are fucking insanely stupid. Grinding for like a costume and having it spend like an eternity, it's like you're doing like simply like free work. It's so stupid. And everything else about it, like, you know, the story isn't that great. I can understand that, but just the core like fighting mechanics alone, I thought it was really engaging enough to play that game for like hours upon hours online, because fighting other people was really fun and enjoyable in that game. It's just the other stuff I don't like the microtransactions and the story. And I guess runner-up would be Power Rangers because I played that recently and I really did enjoy it. So I would say Power Rangers, Mortal Kombat, really good stuff.
For me, it's probably Sam Show. I played it like really late in 2019, but I really loved it. It's a really good game. It's not super complex. It's pretty easy to pick up. I'd say it's definitely a good time. I had fun with it.
Anyone else?
I think for me it would probably be Sam Show.
Oh, really?
Either that or the Power Rangers fighting game. Because to be honest, MK11, it made me go.
Yeah,
It was just way too much of a snore-fest. They changed way too much that they didn't need to change.
for me,
I mean, sure.
it is a guilty pleasure. Like I would prefer if someone just straight up said, "Would you prefer going back to like MKX or MK9?" I'd say, "Hell yeah, go back and like play those games." But as for like what came out in 2019, I would say that game from what I played, because like I said, the online is still great. It's just everything else is not good, and the costumes grinding for that shit takes so long. It's so dumb.
Yeah, the grinding aspect of the game, the story, especially the tower stories. I it just felt like a complete snore fest for me. I completely slept on the release.
Fighting cheap AI to get costumes and they can like one shot hit you that's always fun, right?
Yeah, I mean,
That's the embodiment of fun.
I mean, I did like the new. I did like some of the new like mechanics, but other than that, the mechanics for the game, it's not enough for I'm gonna steal one of your words, Ren. It doesn't warrant a 2 thumbs up for me for this category. It's more 2 thumbs down. Yeah, nah.
Just as a quick question, I want to ask Andre: did Soul Calibur 6 come out in 2019, or was that like the year before?
A year before. It came out in 2018.
Okay. So I basically gave Smash the pity award because there's not a lot of fighting games to talk about, and I swear that game came out in 2018.
it came out at the end of 2018.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Soul
It came
Calibur.
out at the end. Yeah.
Yeah, Soul Calibur came out October 19th, 2018.
Yeah, I see that too.
But you know what? I'm gonna stick up for Smash. That was my favorite fighting game of the year.
Yeah,
Interesting.
my question is when are they gonna add the Terminator to it?
Tomorrow. Stay tuned.
Tomorrow.
I mean, come on, yeah, I mean, come on, you know, hook me up. I can do it for free. I can do the voice for free. You've been dominated.
After Sans, anything is possible.
Where's
Oh my
Waluigi?
god.
We need Waluigi.
Add Dante, you cowards.
I
Yeah.
was so upset when it wasn't Dante announced.
I was like,
I
another
think
Fire
everybody
Emblem?
was.
I don't know what I was expecting. But
Oh, great! It's like all of a sudden it's like that 3 Days Grace song starts playing. Let's start a riot.
Like, I wasn't that mad to be like, Sakurai, you piece of shit, go to hell or shit like that. But
Yeah,
I'm
I
like,
don't get those people. I don't get those people.
I'm like, it was disappointing, but it wasn't like I'm gonna go to this man's house and piss on his like rug or something. It's not that bad.
like I wasn't
Yeah.
furious. It was just one of those heavy exhale out of the nostril kind of moments.
Yeah, I felt the same way. It's like, it's disappointing, not what I wanted, but hopefully with the next Fighter Pass, they will introduce those characters in later, so there's always another shot.
In the words
Yeah,
of
there
Scott
always is.
Laws, it's fine.
It's fine.
Fine. Everything's fine.
Yeah.
So, anyone else before we move on to best multiplayer, which should be like really quickly going once? Oh, go ahead.
I would honestly say, this isn't on the list, but I kind of enjoyed Jump Force for what it is.
Jump Force?
Really?
In
nice.
all honesty, and this is my honest opinion, and of course, it's also my inner childhood, screaming when I saw it, but Naruto was my anime when
Okay,
I was a kid. So,
okay, I have like just a statement to make. Who else wanted it to win at the Game Awards because people were gonna be pissed about it? That's why
I kinda wanted it to win.
I kind of wanted it to win because of that.
I mean,
I knew
yeah.
people would be mad. Like, it'd be so
I think
funny.
the entirety of the FGC would storm the place and start beating the shit out of Jeff Keighley.
They put Keely's head on a stick.
And plus, to be honest, finding out that game got won an award. I mean, to be honest, it would have been funny. I mean, it would have made the award show more entertaining.
Oh yes, definitely.
God, people have been pissed off, man.
It's like all of a sudden, it's like once they hear the winner, it's like all of a sudden you just hear absolute silence and then crickets, and then someone goes.
And the game
I
here
liked
is
Jump
Death
Force,
Stranding.
but it's definitely not a contender for
It's
anything.
done fun, I'll say that. Like, I had some fun out of it, despite not really liking how the game plays. Like, J-Stars is a lot better, I'll say that.
I disagree with J Stars as being better.
Really?
I mean, the downside for me is that, it's the voices are in Japanese, and there could have been a chance. Maybe they didn't have the time to like get some English voice actors in there, but hearing Goku's Japanese voice is so fucking annoying. I prefer Sean Schemmels, and I hate that dude.
Oh, shut.
What about Ocean Dub Goku?
Oh,
Oh, Ocean Dub Goku is the GOAT.
it's
Roll
like
from
for me,
LME.
it's the same thing. Different strokes for different folks. If you like soap, that's fine. If you like dub, that's also fine. But I do agree that I do like Schimmel's voice, but as a person, nah.
You think I'm beta?
Yeah.
Fuck
If
you
we
on
d-
Goku.
If we did have Sean Schemmel and Jump Force's taunt would have been that Funimation leak.
Oh god, I remember that
Oh
shit.
god.
Jesus Christ. I'm just gonna move on to the next one because hearing Goku call his son, call his son a figure. It's like, oh, man, that's too funny. But let's move on to best multiplayer game. So, best multiplayer game of 2019, we have Call of Duty Modern Warfare, Dota Underlords. I don't know how to pronounce this. Mordahau or something. Yeah, we're just gonna.
Chivalry ripoff.
Yeah, we're gonna go with that. So we have Samurai Showdown, Tetris 99, Apex Legends, and Tom Clancy's The Division 2. I would just simply give it a COD. I mean, I've been playing that the most, so
I've only played the beta for it. I haven't really played any multiplayer. I can't even have an opinion on this one.
same. It's like I haven't really played much outside of that and MK11, and I already gave that to like best fighting game. So best multiplayer will be COD because I think outside of all the issues that it had like at launch, I do think they ironed some stuff out. There's still some lingering nitpicks I have with it. Like people just, the way people play in that game is very, very dumb, and the maps are not that great. But it's a fun experience when you get some friends and you can do stuff like co-op or private matches. So it's not really the biggest deal in the world.
Yeah, for me, it has to be, Call of Duty Modern Warfare. I mean, I just love just hiding on top of a barrel, just waiting for some dumbass to come in front of me whereas I got my 7.25 and they got some like stupid pistol. I just get them and I laugh, think I'm skilled.
Oh, yeah.
With them sick quick scopes.
Oh,
But
Call of
really,
Booty looks fun.
but really though, yeah, I mean, like I said a while ago, I mean, I haven't had fun in a COD game since like Modern Warfare 3, Black Ops 2. It's really fun. I mean, sure, there's things I have issues with, like obviously, I mean, there's things that can't be easily fixed through a patch or anything like that, like people who hide, people who just camp, etc. I mean, it is what it is when it comes to games like that. It's the same thing with dealing with like people who try hard in the game. I mean, yeah, it sucks the fun out of the game for everyone else, but in the end, it's like there's nothing the devs can really do about that.
Yeah, that's true.
anyone else want to take this one?
All right, well, you see, I don't play a whole lot of multiplayer games because I don't have any friends. So I ended up playing a lot of CTR online.
Oh yeah, CTR.
Did CTR come out in 2019?
Yeah, it came out 2019.
Yeah,
Fuck. Forgot all about
Yeah,
that
'cause-
game.
yeah, because remember when CTR all of a sudden got microtransactions and Sasuke got so brokenhearted about it, and then at first he was like, yeah, I'm ready for Call
Oh
of Duty.
my god.
And then he got so heartbroken to find out there's micros in CTR that he's like, man, fuck Call of Duty, fuck Activision.
It's Activision. I don't know what he expected. That's funny.
he's
Oh
like,
my
they're not
God,
getting my money.
This is Activision. It's like, they've done this before.
Yeah, I actually had the microtransactions for CTR written in my little notes here. That what I was about to say is, despite those being added and Activision's overall behavior about it, like obviously I don't support that kind of crap because it's a waste of money. But like, I still think mechanically it's really fun to play, and the track design is really good, except for the shitty Nitro Kart maps that suck.
I agree. Those maps
didn't
are, it's not as good as the classic ones in my opinion.
Didn't they also fix the whole grinding thing too, so it's not as long as it was once before?
I don't remember. Like, I just remember,
Sasuke
like,
would talk about that like all the time.
you
He
had
would
to
say
play at
that the
like peak
grinding-
hours to get like more money, and if you didn't, you get like a lower like reduction. It's really weird.
Yeah, I swear, I thought Sasuke told me that they actually fixed that with a patch. I think that came out like last year, I want to say.
Yeah,
feel
I
like
wouldn't
they
know.
did.
Personally.
I don't know. I'm gonna have to ask him at some point.
But I fixed my mistake, so I did put that game there if anyone wanted to like sort of talk about it.
I thought it was pretty good.
Yeah, it's a damn good game. I would say that would be my follow-up or honorable mention if it wasn't just like COD. So anyone else wants to go? Arlena?
I kind of got burned out of like Call of Duty games, because of my brother, because he plays the crap out of them. So I would honestly say, other than Call of Duty, I would probably say The Division 2 would be my pick. And that's something that I have played with my boyfriend because, we try to play games where we would, whenever one of us was like working one shift and another, and just something to play on the weekends. And from what I've played, it's really good. And it's actually kind of funny because my boyfriend would try to sneak around the enemies, and of course, me going in guns blazing, being like, Wakanda forever! Get killed.
I like Division 2, but I only played the beta, so I feel like I can't speak on it in full. I did enjoy the mechanics a lot more than the first game. It feels a little less stiff. So I did appreciate what they did with that game, at least.
Well, I mean, don't you guys know though? I mean, don't you guys know Breakpoint was better than that game?
No.
Hell
Save that for later.
Actually, I got a story. One of my friends actually bought the collector's edition of Breakpoint.
Save it for the end, Andre. Save it for the end, because we're talking about most disappointed at the end.
Yeah, that'd be a perfect story for that.
I'll save it, yeah.
I'm not excited for most disappointed because I know I'm gonna get clowned on by everyone.
Oh, it is going to happen as soon as we get through all this. So I think we move on to like best mainstream studio, which is gonna be quick. So we have Capcom, Kojima Productions, Nintendo, Square Enix, From Software, and Obsidian Entertainment. For me,
Clearly Kojima production.
I had to put it
Made the
here.
best walking simulator this year.
Yeah, I had to put it there because Death Stranding had to get some recognition, and I'm like, I'm
You
seriously
sound
gonna.
very sad talking about it.
I do because I had to put it there, but I would say it's between Nintendo or Capcom logically because I feel like they were publishing like a lot of titles and a lot of stuff came out that was really good by them. So I would say those two are really good. They made some good decisions this year.
I mean,
For me-
the Nintendo Switch is like the superior console out there. I thought everyone knew this already.
Here's the thing: the Switch has Resident Evil 6 on it, so kind of.
But
Let's see, that automatically
That's the
makes
best
it
one.
number 1 console. But anyways, Andre, go
me-
ahead.
Oh sure, okay. For me, well, it's gonna be Nintendo because my father Reggie Fils-Aimé. Nah, I'm messing with you.
My father.
I'd probably have to say Capcom because they've done such a great job last year. Like Resident Evil 2 remake was great. Devil May Cry 5 was great. They kept support. They've been doing really good supporting Monster Hunter World, and I can't wait to see what they're gonna tackle next. Like I'm pretty sure RE3 is gonna be amazing. But yeah, that's
Yeah.
fine.
I'd have to agree. Capcom, like, they've just been doing everything right so far. I think they've been on this huge redemption arc. So I hope it continues.
Yeah, I have to say Capcom as well. I mean, I haven't played their games, the games that they came out with last year, but I mean, to be honest, in terms of, at least PR and like kind of like, I guess you could say like showing like respect and appreciation for like the fans and everything like that, in my honest opinion, I feel like they did do that. They're the type of company that reacts well with their fan base, if you know what I mean.
All
Yeah,
three restructures they had is way better than how they used to be in 2013 when they
Yeah,
released DMC.
like to be fair with Resident Evil 2, at least with the remake, like people basically had to scream at them like, yes, we do want you to remake this game. Before they got the memo, there was already a huge fan project in the works before they decided to do the remake. So I mean, but then of course when they realized, hey, this is a moneymaker, they're like, well, why don't we go and bring back all other old games and remake those? So that's pretty much what people have been wanting for years. So they finally seem to have gotten the message. But yeah, that's the only thing I would kind of like semi disagree on. Like they've been like, after people that they got the message that people wanted this. Yeah, now they're kind of back on track.
Yeah, they're kind of, I mean, to be honest,
But for a long time, like, I don't think we should ignore that. For a long time, they were before this. They were really like, I don't know what the fuck.
Yeah, they sound oh no, you're fine. Oh, I was just gonna say they sound like the neglectful grandparent, or just the neglectful parent that just sometimes listens, and most of the time just doesn't listen. It just varies. It's like selective.
To me, it's kind of weird, and I will give them the benefit of the doubt when it comes to DMC 5's development, because supposedly that was happening around 2014. So that game was like under the works, and they already had that developed, but the games they were releasing at the time were pure garbage. I think it wasn't until like RE3, no, not RE3, RE1 remake that they started to like put out these good remasters, and fans started to like them. So that reception caused them to put out more stuff and prepare more for the sequels. So I think that third restructure of the company really helped them get out of the rut, and hopefully they understand that yes, people want these old franchises to come back, like Dino Crisis. They want Mega Man. They want all this stuff. So now supposedly they're focusing on other remakes that aren't going to be just RE, which is a good thing, honestly. I think they're going in the right direction, but they did have to get steered to that direction.
I noticed that they're the company that seems like once they got their target on sight of something, like
They had to because they were going bankrupt like twice, I believe.
A lot of their games, they outsourced a lot of their games, and they didn't do too well. Like DMC didn't even meet its.
I just wish that Konami would take a note from Capcom. Honestly, like.
Oh yeah, Konami is.
Konami who?
Konami.
Yeah, I seriously doubt Konami is gonna redeem themselves. I mean, we'll see.
I want to wait and see what happens. Like, I think any company, if they're willing to restructure and try, then I'm going to give them a modest chance. But after what Konami has put out so far, I can say right now they are grade A garbage. That Contra game was unacceptable. Like, fucking unacceptable, dude.
But to be fair, for the longest time, Capcom was also the butt of the joke.
Yes, they were.
Yeah, well, like I said,
I now this is gonna be the last thing, and I'll pass the question off to anyone else that wants to answer it. But like what I was saying, it seemed like once they have a goal in sight that they're passionate about, like with RE2, for example, they have shown that they will put time and dedication into something. I mean, take a look at RE2 and RE3 that's going to be coming out this year.
Yeah, like I said,
So,
the only benefit I'm giving
it's
them...
like they care.
Yeah.
It's like they care, but they need it. They're stubborn. They need a push.
Yeah, the only benefit I'll give them is DMC5 because they knew people wanted it and they didn't need to be steered to do that one. It's been in development for a long time.
Yeah, but next.
Yeah, next up. Anyone else want to take mainstream studio or?
I don't really have much to add because I would just pick Capcom as well.
Yeah, it seems like that's gonna be. Yeah, that's gonna be overall choice. So let's move to indie, where I have no opinions on these. So best indie game of 2019: Baba Is You, Disco Elysium, Katana Zero. I think that's gonna be the Outer Worlds, but there's also a game called the Outer Wilds. I haven't played.
Wilds.
Yeah,
that's the indie game.
Yeah, there's two of them that's indies. I got that super confused too, dude. Untitled Goose Game, which is everyone's favorite game, and My Friend Pedro. So best indie.
The only one I know of and have actually seen gameplay of, I would have to say Untitled Goose Game for me.
I think everyone's gonna say the meme game, cause
I just thought I would go with that because I don't know any.
Same here, actually.
Actually,
I've only heard of like My Friend Pedro.
Yeah, I never played it either.
I think I've seen some gameplay of My Friend Pedro when I was like watching YouTube and stuff, but I think that was like a long time ago too.
It looks awesome. It's like 2D
I think it's
Max
a Devolver game.
Yeah. In case anyone doesn't really know what it is, My Friend Pedro is an action side-scrolling shoot 'em up that has exceptional replay value and wonderful set pieces. That's like the best way to describe it. It's like mechanically super solid. Like, if you don't know, it's a game where you have bullet time, right? And it's a 2D shooter. So the whole point of the game is to use bullet time to get through waves of enemies using different variety of weapons.
Yeah, I mean, remember, vote for Pedro.
I get the reference.
Insert Captain America here.
Funny. Yeah, but
apparently. Oh, go ahead.
I was about to say I haven't played any other game on that list other than My Friend Pedro.
Anyone else want to take this one?
I honestly haven't played any of these games. I think I've seen like Jacksepticeye play them.
Yeah, I don't think I even seen gameplay of the Untitled Goose Game. I only know it's a meme, so I would honestly pick that.
Yeah, long story short, when it comes to the game, basically you play as a mischievous goose, and you basically steal shit from other people sometimes, and you're basically a menace to society, but it's hilarious. And that's a long story short, pretty much. It's funny.
All
Oh
right.
yeah.
I think we're gonna move on to the next one since a lot of people haven't played much on this list. But check out my friend Pedro. So next we have the best soundtrack of 2019, which is Cadence of Hyrule, The Outer Worlds, DMC5, Sayonara Wild Hearts, Ape Out, and Katana Zero. I haven't played anything else or heard anything else on this list outside of DMC5, so that's another pick that I'm going to give it.
Same.
All right, so
I mean,
DMC5.
at least DMC5 has tracks that are memorable, like Devil Trigger. They have the theme for crippled emo boy, the
Crimson Cloud. That's
Crimson
my theme.
Cloud, yeah. Then we got Dante's theme, which
Subhuman, yeah.
I mean, they fixed it. It's not
yeah.
bad now, but originally it was
I
screamo
hated
garbage.
the originals.
It was ear rape, dude. Good lord.
But yeah, like I would have to say DMC5. Like, I mean, it had a pretty good soundtrack.
Yeah.
I
Same here.
I think it's gonna be the same thing. Like, I think it's gonna be the same thing that happened with another category. I mean, I know it's not on the list, but for me, I actually kind of like the music in Death Stranding. But I also like
as much
the
shit
music
as
in
people give the game,
DMC5. I mean, the story was and the gameplay. Those two are what held the game back the most. But in terms of like at least with the art design and the music, I liked it. I mean, especially like when you were walking around at the beginning and you heard the music and it was really somber and everything like that. It looked really cinematic as you were walking. I actually liked that. I mean, it fit well with that scene.
The only reason why I did not include it here is because I heard Death Stranding's soundtrack is mostly done with like other third-party songs.
it's like licensed music.
Yeah, like
MGS5.
licensed music. Yeah, like MGS5. So that's why I didn't place it.
There was music composed in there by someone hired to actually make music for the game specifically, but there were licensed songs in there.
Yeah.
But I'm talking about like like music with like violins, cellos, that kind of
Yeah,
shit.
in game would be fine, but license is like kind of a weird gray area.
Yeah, not songs.
Yeah.
Just I don't know what it's called. I know it's a different term, but yeah, songs
Original
without
soundtrack.
lyrics.
Yeah.
Original soundtrack.
Compositions, like original
Compositions like that.
OST, pretty much.
Mhm.
Yeah, OST. I don't know why I second guessed myself. I was gonna say OST, but anywho, next.
Yeah, because there's original soundtrack and then there's official soundtrack where like they usually have the licensed music in it.
Yeah. I mean, I like both. I liked both. I mean, both were pretty good. It felt like it fit, which is perfect when you're someone like me that listens to like the music in a game. Because if it's out of place, I can't really get into the game. Like, I can't take it seriously if it's not fitting with what I'm seeing in front of me.
That's kind of the problem I had with the what was it, the remade soundtrack for RE2 or lack thereof, because it's mostly just minimal. You don't hear anything in the soundtrack. That's why I have like the classic soundtrack on.
Until Mr. X shows up and it's suddenly loud as fuck.
Yeah, it's like what the fuck? Okay.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, next.
Anyone else for best soundtrack?
Yeah, all I have to say is pull my double trigger. That's about it.
Pull my double trigger.
It's like the official hype song.
Oh yeah, I listen to that song every time whenever I'm heading to work. But yeah, for me, it would definitely have to be the Devil May Cry soundtrack because of course, I absolutely love Legacy. I love that song, and of course, I sing the crap out of it. Although I can't now because voice is kind of scratchy.
Oh yeah, you're talking about the song where Nero goes DT.
Oh yeah,
Yeah, the main theme.
it's beautiful. I love it.
I'm not letting you die.
Oh god.
Oh, and also shoutouts to the gallery soundtrack remix of Double Trigger.
Oh yeah,
Oh
the
yeah,
Tropical
that's good.
remix.
That is so good.
I love it. It's really good. It's like really good study music or just to relax to.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I think that's gonna be it for this category before we move on to best shooter. We're almost done. So best shooter is gonna be super easy. COD, Metro Exodus, Borderlands 3, Apex Legends, Gears 5, and Division 2. I'm gonna give it again to COD. I think I played Gears 5 and I did not like it that much. It's like it's a guilty pleasure game, but in the long run, the multiplayer was broken at launch, and that gave me a bad experience. So I would have to pick COD again.
Couldn't you technically put control on here too?
Yeah, you can. You can put control on here. So I might as
Yeah,
well add that right now.
for
I'm
me,
trying to think of shooters I played this year that came out this year.
for
Eh.
for me at least, I would have to say, Apex Legends, best shooter of the year, for 2019. I mean, if you disagree with me, that means you life than me. I'm just kidding. Fuck Apex Legends. I prefer COD over that game because it actually
Isn't Apex
didn't
like battle
feel
royale?
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah. It's basically like a bland version of Fart Nut. Um,
Fart nut.
But I agree with you, Cry. Call of Duty's really good. I haven't played it, but I've seen gameplay. It looks really fun. I
it,
need to get it.
like it's not there are some moments in the game where it will get bland, but it can be really fun, especially if you're like trolling people. Like for example, if you pull out a riot shield and an RPG and just want to fuck with people, it's hilarious just to watch them just hop around you like a rabbit going, "Huh, can I get you from here? Oh no, you're going over there." It's funny. It's funny toying with people pretty much.
Oh,
Um,
I just
but it
stopped.
is. I mean, but when you're playing the game, it's one of those games where it's even more fun playing it with friends.
um, yeah. So I guess like yeah, you could consider this a shoot. I mean, it is an FPS. Metro. I guess for me, Metro Exodus. It's. I mean, it's technically like more of a adventure type, but I mean, it's still technically it's an FPS. Uh, yeah, Metro Exodus. It's probably my favorite game in the Metro series now. It's a pretty big departure from the other games, like in terms of it being open world, sort of, and you're not really in the Metro anymore. You're kind of out in the world exploring, and it's a very visually stunning game. And yeah, like it has a pretty surprisingly decent story as well. A pretty good follow up to the first two games. Um, and a pretty good sort of semi conclusion to the Metro games. I mean, there's still I would say there's still room for another game if they ever decide to make another one. But where the story ends, I think it's pretty good. Ends in a pretty good place. I quite enjoyed it. I think is one of the best games I've played this year.
Isn't it like a raid killer or something, or is that like something that people made up?
What?
Metro Exodus like being stress test on PC.
Oh, it is a fairly demanding game. Yeah. Uh, It's I will say on launch it had a lot of issues, but I think they recently have since ironed it out.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah. The only downside is that the game is on PC. At least it's an Epic exclusive. So, yeah, if you want to play the game, there's always other means of obtaining it.
Your horror. Anyone else want to go on this?
All right, so I look at this list and I realize I don't play a lot of shooters, so I guess my favorite shooter of the year was playing DMC5 in Gunslinger mode.
That's one way to do it, at least. But seriously, what is your favorite shooter so far, Nom?
No, I guess a game that came out this year was shooting. I guess Days Gone, but I don't really like that game.
Days Gone is saved for a terrible game at the end.
Yeah, but I'm serious when I said I didn't really play a lot of shooters. I just wanted to be funny.
No, that's fair enough. Like, I haven't played a lot either outside of COD and Gears, and honestly, I can't put Gears over COD because I think that game is just a downgrade. So I would have to say
Gears
COD.
of War.
Yeah.
Gears of War.
That's such a disappointment. But I guess we can move on to the next one. You guys okay with that?
Mm-hmm.
I'm good.
All right. So best narrative of 2019 for gaming, and we have the first nomination, Death Stranding. We have Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order, A Plague's Tale: Innocence, The Outer Worlds, Disco Elysium, Call of Duty, and Fire Emblem Three Houses.
Well, clearly it's Call of Duty.
I would give it to Death Stranding, to be honest. I mean,
it's Call of Duty's always had Shakespearean writing.
I'll go quickly, but probably Death Stranding. The story isn't too bad. I watched a playthrough of it. It's really weird at first, but I think over time it starts like really drawing you. And even though the ending's like 2 hours long, it's actually pretty decent. Like it's actually really well acted. So I gotta give them props for that.
the only story that seemed to suck me in, like in all seriousness, is Star Wars. Like, I just really liked the plot of that game and where it was going and all the characters. So I would have to say that, like, over everything I played. I did like where they were going with the COD campaign, but I haven't beaten it, so I can't really speak on it too much. But I would say Star Wars.
Speaking of which, I remember somebody made a pretty interesting criticism of the new COD campaign and how it was trying to be like trying to show more of like a morally gray kind of thing.
Yes.
And they said like Spec Ops: The Line did it so much better.
Yeah.
Where like COD was afraid to kind of fully go into it, where Spec Ops was like, yeah, you're a monster, basically.
Yeah, Spec Ops would taunt you like constantly, like, oh, are you a killer here? You know, they would like put the loading screens, and they would like have you morally question killing like this whole village of people, like, and you doing the whole white phosphorus, where it's like you know, you think there's enemies there and there's not, it's innocent people. As for COD,
for what I've noticed of the COD campaign, it's just Russians bad.
Yeah,
they're evil people.
and then it's like, oh well, this guy has a bomb strapped to him. Oh well, it doesn't matter because he gets thrown off a ledge anyway and blows up. So the choice that's presented doesn't even linger that long when you think about what's morally gray and what's good, because usually some shit happens really fast and you have no control over it, as opposed to them mapping out a story in Spec Ops where it's like, do I shoot my best friend here, or do I go and kill this whole village of innocent people because I'm mad, you know? So I think, I just think that
the
it
thing
could have been
is
handled
too is
better.
there really is no right choice.
Yeah.
Like, no matter what you do, you're kind of fucked either way.
Yeah, you can't deviate, so it's kind of strange, but I do like what they were going for in terms of presentation. At least that alone is very, very great.
Yep. For me, I mean, I feel like the campaign was sort of the stepping stones for Spec Ops. Like, if you thought you had somewhat of difficult choices that you had to make in the campaign, then actually if you thought you had difficult choices in the campaign, just wait until you play, Spec Ops. It's one of those type of things. that I personally felt like Infinity War was trying to do. Like it's kind of like, like the war never stops here. Like, after the campaign, you're thinking, oh, everything, the battle's over. The war is won. It's like, no, it's not. It's
Yeah,
like it's far from being over.
most of these shooter games is like it focuses on like fantasy of you're the macho hero that blows everyone away. You're Rambo. You're Arnold Schwarzenegger. So I did like that Spec Ops question, like killing all these people, is it morally right? Do you enjoy it? That sort of question involved, and I don't feel like COD does it justice. So but I would say everything else is just fairly fine with it. I really did enjoy the characters and the situations you were thrown into, just not the execution that much. But I will say that Jedi Fallen Order was really good when I played it.
I don't know. I mean, I haven't played Fallen Order all that much. I've I've played more of COD over that actually.
Mhm.
So for me, I would have, and also I'm biased. I will admit I am biased because the last COD game that we've had involving campaigns, excluding Blackout, I'm not gonna call that Abomination Black Ops 4. Um, it was garbage. Like the campaigns have not been all that great for many, many, many years. So I mean, this is the type of campaign, despite some of its faults, it's still one I would actually play repeatedly over the past several years of COD's campaign.
Anyone
It's just
else?
that good for me. But
Yeah, anyone else on best narrative?
Yeah, well, clearly Kingdom Hearts 3 had the best narrative, but no, no, yeah, but I enjoyed Jedi Fallen Order the most because it got to points where I would tend to forget I was playing a Star Wars story and more so just a story on its own with like its own original characters, because I felt that it was very light on fan service at points, which I was very afraid it was going to be like, oh, here's Obi-Wan, oh, here's these characters, here's this super important event. By the way, our original character is here. Look how badass he is. But I feel as though they did it in a very respectful way of pretty much just putting their own characters in just an established universe and having their own story for it.
Here's
Yeah,
someone typing.
I would agree with that. For me, I think as much as I would say Jedi Fallen Order, I would have to go with Plague Tale. Um, I actually really enjoyed, like I said, I really enjoyed the characters and the story more than I thought I would. Uh, and the only reason I don't say Jedi Fallen Order is just because I feel like uh, as much as I would agree, it is for the most part, it's its own story and everything. Like it's not unlike something. It's not like we haven't seen similar stories before in Star Wars, where it's like, well, what happened to the other Jedi that escaped Order 66, and what did they do, and what happened in between the events of Episode 3 and 4. Like we already have quite a few stories like that in Star Wars.
Yeah, I think
But Plague
Force
Tale is
Unleashed
its
is
own
one of
thing,
them.
so I would just have to.
Yeah, I can see where you're coming from. You just prefer that.
Yeah.
It's called a Plague Tale, right?
Yeah, Plague Tale.
Yeah, you prefer that a Plague Tale is just much more unique in its own way.
Yeah, like and I mean, like I can't really think of that many other games that are set in that are in that setting, like, or at least they're in that time period with the bubonic plague and all that. So yeah, I would have to give it to Plague Tale.
Yeah, that's cool. So we got anyone else before we move on to Game of the Year?
Yeah, I'll give it to Plague Tale also, and I think it's probably because of the historical aspect to it. And of course, I like history and all that kind of stuff, so
I
that's
would,
the
but
reason why I like it.
I have not played it, so I can't speak on it.
It's one of those games I feel like it sort of flew under the radar for a lot of people. Same thing with
Yeah.
Greedfall. It's probably because they're not like major AAA games.
Yeah.
so
They
sort
don't
of like
have to
a
be though. I think they're fine on their own merits.
so it's kind of like one of those like what is it that in film, what do they call it,
Well,
a sleeper
I
hit?
think they're like yeah, sort of. I guess you could
Because
say
I
that.
feel like because the way you guys are talking, it's like this game, people slept on it when they shouldn't have.
Yeah, I would say that.
I ought to try the game out.
Anyone else before we finally move on to Game of the
Anybody
Year?
else have anything to say? Narrative.
I hope I am.
Yep,
I'm muted.
I think Ren fell asleep.
No. Discord for some reason was muted, so I fixed that. Now we have Game of the Year 2019. So nominees are Death Stranding, Control, Sekiro, Resident Evil 2, Devil May Cry 5, The Outer Worlds, and Jedi Fallen Order.
I don't think anybody has nominated Control for anything. Actually,
No.
No. I forgot Control even came out.
Me too. I forgot it existed, to be honest.
I thought
It's
control
kinda-
was the button underneath the shift key.
You can say that.
Remedy hasn't really been putting out a lot of great games since what was it?
Alan Wake.
Alan Wake?
Yeah, Alan Wake I think was the last really good one.
Because
And
we definitely can't say
then it was
Quantum Break.
Quantum. I mean, Quantum Break's okay, but it's not it's just not up to the standard that they've set with their past games. I
Yeah, it's not
think.
like a Max Payne or anything.
No,
Yeah,
well,
shit.
it feels like Max Payne, but with time mechanics, time control mechanics.
Yeah, but
And I guess with
quality-wise,
Control, it's like telekinesis and stuff.
Yeah,
Something.
but quality-wise, it's not like Max Payne level.
I also
Control
hear the
rating.
game has a lot of technical problems too.
Bad, very, very, very bad optimization.
Yeah.
I haven't played a lot of Control. I've only played an hour or something. But whenever you unpause the game, at least on the PlayStation 4 version, your frame rate just drops to 10,
Oof.
and it just
So
stutters.
it's bad across the board then. Jeez.
Ay,
Yeah, because I know on PC it's not good either.
damn.
Uh,
Still haven't.
but hey guys, it has RTX.
No, not the RTX hype.
Yes, ray tracing.
Oh.
Oh boy.
RTX on, frame rate off.
Yeah,
I don't know. I would have to say it's a toss up between RE2 and DMC for me. I'm just seeing those two as two quality games that came out in the same year.
I'll just get mine out of the way. Resident Evil 2, and that's only because I've beaten it. Technically, I've beaten one campaign. I haven't beaten DMC. But if I did, I would have to. Yeah, I'd have to agree.
For me, it's gonna be Devil May Cry 5. I love the game from start to finish. It was definitely a quality game. It was probably easily my game of the year 2019. Resident Evil 2 comes really close. I really enjoyed it, but I do think the game suffers a little bit in some aspects. But it is definitely a quality game. So that's my RE2 is my honorable mention. But yeah, DMC 5 is my game of the year.
yeah. I don't know. I mean, for me, there's so many good games out there. I mean, I'm gonna have to be that one person with the hot take, but god damn it, I'll say it. Fortnite.
Oh,
There you go.
What?
Oh no!
I'm fucking kidding.
Hell yeah, let's drop.
Really?
yeah, let's
Gonna
go.
do the Fortnite dance.
Yeah, let's default on these motherfuckers. Let's build some 90s, man. Do the ninja dance. I'm just kidding. But really though, I don't know. I have to say RE2 because I feel like people kind of at least when it came to the awards and shit like that, I feel like that game kind of got dumped on. Besides, the DMC5 from what I noticed.
It deserved better.
It did. It
At the
deserved.
Game Awards, especially, holy shit, it got
I will
nominated
say
for nothing.
Sekiro is not game of the year.
No.
Sekiro.
What are you talking about? Don't you like Dark Souls?
I
Here's-
know I like
guys.
Sekiro.
You gotta think of it like this: From Software made it, and they made Dark Souls. That means it's good.
No, it's
Listen, you know the best Souls game was
Bloodborne.
Bloodborne.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Bloodborne's awesome. That's a great game. That's probably my favorite Souls game, easily next to Dark Souls 1.
Well,
Yeah, I would say that award was just. I gotta be honest. That was just the fucking. I keep calling him like Geoff. I know it's Jeff, but it sounds like Geoff.
Jeff.
But Jeff Keighley, that was just like him damage controlling and deflecting because already I think it was Death Stranding winning like a lot of awards there. And let's just say Sekiro because that's the odd man out and that's the weird choice and nobody's gonna get it. That's how I felt the whole time when it was announced. I was like, Sekiro is game of the year, huh? Like people said it's really hard and they have difficulty with it, but I don't see it as game of the year. It's just weird.
I didn't really see a lot of people
It's-
like really saying all this is game of the year material or anything. I saw
No.
more people saying that about like Devil May Cry and Resident Evil.
Didn't
I'm gonna drop a pretty fat hot take right here. I think that Jedi Fallen Order does Sekiro's mechanics better than the actual game.
I enjoy that game more than Sekiro. So I
Yeah.
have to
I
agree.
kinda have to agree.
Kind of. Like I would agree except for the AI at some points being really dumb in that game. Like I mean the game has technical problems with the AI and sometimes like just general collision detection, just stuff like that. It's
I'm more
it has-
so talking about just in general mechanics.
Oh.
With like the parry
Yeah.
system and like how
Yeah,
killing
well-
enemies works.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
to be fair, I want to sound like Drill here, actually. But to be fair, with Fallen Order, that was the devs' first time making a game like that. So it was bound to have some kind of flaw with the AI.
In terms of fun
Right.
factor, I would prefer that game 10 times over Sekiro. Like Sekiro
Oh yeah,
has
yeah, definitely.
enhanced mechanics. I enjoy them, but that game is so annoying and some of the enemies to fight like the headless enemies, oh my god, dude.
Oh, don't even think about it.
Yeah.
Don't even fucking remind me of that.
You will
Plus,
get
I heard-
cursed
I
and
heard-
killed.
You need to have divine confetti.
Yeah.
And plus with Sekiro, I heard that was rage-inducing as well, which a lot of people say that it actually took the fun out of the game and made the game worth not playing through anymore. It was one of
You-
those type of games that I heard.
You need the patience of a Buddhist monk to deal with that game in some sections.
Yeah, otherwise you turn into Kid Smooth.
Yeah, the final boss I hear is infamous.
Oh my god. Oh
I mean, you
my
saw what happened to him. He had a ghost pepper. You play Sekiro, you get a ghost pepper.
But
Was that the
to
game that
think-
made him break something that activated his alarm system?
Yeah,
or
see, through his
something?
controller, activated his alarm, his wife went crazy. He's like, what the fuck's going on?
The thing is, Smooth did finish Bloodborne, but he got help from someone.
Oh, those
Well-
challenges are funny. But anyone else want to go on this?
I would definitely have to say DMC5 is my game of the year. Like, hands down.
Yeah, it seems to be a lot of DMC5s, RE2.
I would say RE2. Man, Capcom really is just like has control of everyone here, don't they?
Yes, they do.
They've become Cap God.
I mean, they did good last year.
Oh yeah.
No,
Yeah, I would have picked DMC5 until I did play Resident Evil 2.
yeah, both are
Well,
great games, really.
Yeah. Yeah, RE2 is my honorable mention.
But on to the greatest category, which is not listed. Everyone's like most disappointing game of 2019.
Let me just put on my Square Enix shield.
Oh boy.
Yeah, I'll just go ahead. For me, it's definitely Kingdom Hearts 3. Like, when I first started playing the game, I was liking it, but then I was noticing things. It was a little bit too easy. I will say, like, I have not finished the game, so my opinion may change, but from what I've played of it so far, I don't know. I don't like. It feels like one of those games where it's like, unless you know, like, you need to have played not just Kingdom Hearts 1 and 2, and Days and all the. You need to have basically played all those games in order to understand, like, because there's references to things from like Chain of Memories, all these other games, and or well, actually, what was it? Dream Drop Distance, and it's just like, it's like people criticize Kingdom Hearts for being convoluted, and there is some truth to that, but like it's 3 doesn't do anything to help it, I don't think, because now all of these characters that were supposedly dead, like the antagonists specifically, and the organization are all being brought back. And I understand it has something to do with the whole time travel thing that was introduced in in Dream Drop Distance, but again, like it makes everything like the whole convoluted argument. It gives it more merit, I think,
It
because it's
certainly
like,
strengthens the
Mm.
whole this
yeah,
story does not need to be told in this way sort of
I
argument.
really like that was one of the things I feel like they should dead characters, like, keep them dead, please. Like, because otherwise it feels like there's no stakes to anything. Like, why should I care? Because everybody can just come back. It's almost like the new Star Wars movies. Like, there's no where are the stakes? Everybody, like, people die and then they can go be a force ghost and interact with physical objects and shit. While, like, it's like nothing matters anymore.
Oh, I
Uh,
definitely agree with like dead characters needing to stay dead.
Yeah.
Like
yeah,
I know no one's played this probably, but Persona 3 had this huge problem with that, where the game's about like what it means to be alive and why death is like a very important part of life. But then like they
mm.
kind of shoot their own foot at certain points.
Yeah.
I don't know, like, and also, like, I don't know, like, for me, somebody who was a fan of Kingdom Hearts, and, like, after Kingdom Hearts 2, I was like, as much as people don't like 2, 2 was my favorite, and I was like, I wanted to see where the story was gonna go. I wanted to see how they were gonna end things, and I don't know. With 3, I just feel like it I don't know. As much as I really also like to see the Birth by Sleep characters coming back, like Aqua, for instance. Um, I did want to. That was one of the things I did want to see her eventually, like, team up with Sora and all them, I mean, like, we do kind of get that, so I did like that, but like everything else, I'm like, okay, some of these, not all these characters need to return. Like, you can keep some of them dead. It's fine, but I don't know. Maybe Remind will fix some of these things, but I honestly kind of doubt it. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean,
But oh, sorry.
no. First I was gonna say, I agree with what you're saying. I mean, in terms of the other Kingdom Heart games I've, you know, seen and played, I played a tiny bit of it, not much. I do feel like 3 was definite for me, at least. It felt the weakest, and hang on.
All right. So
The game was rushed, basically.
yeah,
The irony behind that too.
considering how long it took to
waited
make.
years for this
Yeah.
fucking game.
Yeah, so sorry, somebody came in the room, tapped my shoulder, so I got cut off.
Oh shit.
But I will say, it did feel like the weakest in the Kingdom Hearts series. And second, Chaos, how dare you speak such blasphemy against our Lord and Savior, the Mouse?
Oh yeah, Mickey Mouse. Mickey Mouse wearing his fucking organization 13.
I don't care. That's fucking badass. Mickey Mouse dual wielding keyblades.
Oh, I did die for your sins just to see this. Oh.
I think my favorite part about the Kingdom Hearts lore is that Mickey Mouse can stop time.
Oh, fuck that.
Oh,
Oh
yeah.
my god.
Well,
Uh,
I mean,
but-
Disney has a monopoly. He owns everything. So I mean, there are probably dark side powers he's tapped into.
but really though, for me at least, in terms of disappointing, I know a lot of people say they like Apex Legends, but it's fucking boring. It's bland. How can people like that?
Wait,
There's
Cry, didn't you
nothing-
nominate Apex for one of the choices, or am I wrong?
As a
'Cause
joke.
Oh, okay.
As a joke, then I gave my real, and then I think I said for best shooter, I said Apex Legends, obviously, and then I was like, nope, forget that garbage. COD. But for me, I don't know. Apex is just so bland. It feels. I don't know. I don't. It does not handle very well on console. It really it's really bad. I feel like the connection to the games, like the servers, it's not all that great. They still have not fixed that problem, at least for the PS4 consoles. Um, I mean, it's fine on PC and I think Xbox, but I don't know. I tried playing it. I really wanted to get into it, but I'm gonna have a hot take. I'd rather play Blackout than Apex, and that's saying something because I told you guys how much I hate Blackout and Black Ops 4 in general. Ugh, jeez, I have nightmares now saying that name.
Let's
But
hope it never
yeah,
comes back.
hopefully.
Blackout.
Ugh. But anyways,
So
next.
yeah, anyone else for worst game of 2019?
I would say Borderlands 3 probably was my most disappointing game.
I have
Uh,
that game,
I
never
can see
played it.
that.
don't
Yeah.
let Sasuke hear you say that, Kappa.
I heard it, like I saw the
Oh.
frame rate for that game when it came out at launch and it looked terrible. Like
On all platforms, or
I I think so. I don't know. I
oh,
don't know if it
actually,
was
yeah.
Digital Foundry or somebody had a video out and it
Oh
was
yeah.
showing the frame rate.
Oh yeah, I actually did hear that like all consoles and even PC was affected by it to everyone's like shock.
Yeah, I
Quick
would.
question. Oh,
Huh?
my bad. Oh, go on.
Uh,
You can go.
oh, okay. I was just gonna talk more about why I think Borderlands 3 is like the worst thing in the world. So, do you want to get your thing up first?
You can do it. I'll save mine for last because this is actually a pretty funny story.
All right. Well, Borderlands 3 encompasses pretty much everything I dislike about the writing team behind those games. Like, it's so immediately dated with like trying to be the hip, trendy kind of game. Like Poochie from Itchy and Scratchy.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine that, except as a video game.
Oh God.
So they like try to use slang all the time. They say like BT dubs. They like take selfies all the time.
Don't they have like a memes in that game too?
The whole like main villain is like a live streaming supervillain who like
Oh
says
God.
his like main catchphrase, remember to like, comment, and obey.
Oh my God. That sounds awful. Jesus Christ.
It's like that one Spider-Man villain no one likes except like worse.
Screwball.
Yeah.
That was one of
Oh.
the things I didn't really like about the other Borderlands games, or at least in Borderlands 2. I think a lot of the dialogue was like references to memes and shit.
I
And
yeah,
I
I
don't
think
know. I found it really
Mm.
cringe.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I agree too. But
I think that's also the problem with I don't know if anybody else has played Rage 2. It almost feels like Borderlands in that it's trying to, like, the first Rage wasn't really like that humorous, and then Rage 2 tries to take the opposite approach of, well, now we're all quirky and like we're exactly like Borderlands basically, but uh I don't know, like I really don't like that aspect of it. It's just like I can't stand listening to some of the dialogue in that game. It's like it's just not. They're trying so hard to be funny, and I just it's not funny.
Well, what I mean, what's worse? That I know a different
It
meaning,
sucks
but
because the gameplay is
that
actually good, but the
well,
story and everything is really fucking terrible.
what's worse? That or Ghostbusters 2016? Different media.
Oh, Ghostbusters 2016. There's no question.
Because it reminded me of how people said that
I
the
mean,
game felt
it
so
goes at
forced.
least
So,
it's not trying to desecrate something that was once good. You know.
true.
I don't know, Borderlands 3.
Well, no. I was talking about Rage, not. But I
Oh,
mean, Rage
Rage?
was. Yeah, like I was saying, Rage is very, or Rage 2 at least is like really similar to.
Yeah, it's like it's no longer cool to be self-referential and self-aware without doing anything about it.
Yeah, I feel like when it comes to sequels with games, some games fall very, very short with like it feels like you can tell that they're trying to one up the previous part. Like for Rage 2, it did feel like they were trying way too hard to be, Rage 1 when, to be honest, it should not be all that noticeable that you're trying to one up the previous installment. You know what I mean? Like you can just as easily the way I see it, if you can easily like show people that you're forcing it to be better than the first one, then that means you can actually do it under the radar then. Cause I mean, at that point, if it's noticeable, then that means you probably just didn't care at the end of the day. You just wanted a paycheck. That's how I view things anyways.
My answer is pretty simple. WWE 2K20. Easy. That has to be the worst wrestling game I ever seen in terms of bugs, glitches, and all around low quality, dude. Jesus fucking Christ.
Some of those glitches are just like nightmare fuel.
I saw one of them where someone had like venom like tendrils as hair and they were attacking another wrestler. It was great.
The game looks like an early PS3 game.
That game is just so goddamn terrible. I don't see how anyone as a wrestling fan enjoys them. Even in the past, all the wrestling games have not been as bad as that, where they barely like function in that game. So I just wish that they would have put more effort into it, but now we have a piece of shit, so it's funny to laugh at.
Can't wait for the next one.
No,
I was
no.
about to say, the story, right?
I haven't even seen the story. The only thing that I know is that the glitches carry over into the game. But oh yeah, Andre, you wanted to tell your plot of your friend.
Okay, so this is actually a really funny story. I know a guy on PlayStation, right? This dude bought the Legion of Dawn edition of Anthem, and he bought the Gold edition of Ghost Recon Breakpoint, right? He wanted me to like get the Legion of Dawn edition at like my local GameStop, but here's the thing: I don't go to GameStop. I rarely go to GameStop, and he kept claiming Anthem was gonna be like a masterpiece, and he only. You want to know something fun? He only played Anthem for like a month and dropped it and never played it again. He still plays Ghost Recon, and I remember one time when he was streaming the game, he was like yelling, "Oh, this game is fucking garbage. Fuck Ubi shit." And then, literally, when I talked to him on PlayStation the next day, he's like, "Jima, you need to play this game. This is the best game ever." It's like, I was like, dude, didn't you say this game was a piece of shit on stream? I'm pretty sure you said that. And he's been like begging me to play. I'm like, it's not a good game. Don't play. Just don't play any of those.
Sounds
games.
like
They're
he's
not
trying to
good.
be.
Don't play what?
Ghost Recon Breakpoint, Anthem. They're terrible games.
Sounds like he's trying to be a snake oil salesman. Like, first is bad, now is good, so you should play it. What is that?
He's trying to pass on the Death Note.
Yeah.
The thing is, he's a giant Ubisoft shill, essentially.
I was
like,
about to say
any
maybe
game
Ubisoft left him something under the table, you know.
like any game they make, he'll pretty much claim it's the best game ever, and it's been going on for a while since I met him. Like, dude, he plays For Honor like almost like pretty much almost all the time. I'd have to say, like every time they make a new update, it's like, "Yo, played this game. For Honor's the GOAT."
For Honor's
like,
I mean, it was like guilty pleasure, but for the asking price of that game, hell no. And the fact that it was broken, yeah, it's not like worth it. It's not the best thing ever. It's just like okay.
Can we all agree that the best Ubisoft game has to be Uno?
For better or worse.
Uno's amazing, man.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, I agree. Rayman Legends was great.
Oh yeah, definitely. That game
was
great. I completely forgot about Rayman. Yeah, Rayman was good.
They buried that series so hard. It's like they don't even do anymore. Just the rabbit stuff.
Like I know Legends came out like 2013. Maybe it just didn't do well. I don't know.
I mean, you can say the same thing.
I heard it was
for,
a
like,
good game.
I loved it.
You can say the same thing for like Prince of Persia. That's been dead forever.
Prince of who?
Ren, what were you asking? You said my name.
I said I hope a cat crawls in your colon.
Yeah. Oh yeah. A little backstory, little quick backstory of how that came to be. We were playing Uno. I end up getting +2'd. I put down a +2 because I was like, oh no, a +2. I put down a +2, +4. And then Eli had a +2, and he's like, oh, whatever shall I do? And he puts down a +2, and Ren just gets +6, and he's like, it's like a long pause, and then all of a sudden he's like, whoever did that, I hope a cat crawls into your colon. I really do. It was so fucking random, and I'm like, Ren, why is that very specific? And I never got to this day, I never got an answer.
I was
The
salty.
world
I
will
got.
never know.
I was salty.
Maybe
I
he
got
channeled his
+6.
inner Chinese.
I don't eat cats. Come on.
Good lord.
Jesus.
But I think we're gonna wrap it up here. We're gonna do our outros so we can get out of here. So, Cryo, where can we find you?
You can find me on Twitter and YouTube, both at Cryo Gaming. The 0 is like an actual like the number 0. And also Twitch, which is the same thing like my Twitter and my YouTube, except YT added at the end.
Nom, where can we find you?
Oh boy. You can find me behind the dumpster at McDonald's at 3 in the morning.
Oh my
That's a
God.
specific place to be.
But in all seriousness,
Stop dumpster diving.
yeah, but you can find me on youtube.com, nam12399, where I make video game essay type videos.
All right, awesome. Arlena, where can we find you?
All right. Well, you guys can find me on Twitter at YabrinaK. You can find me on YouTube, Arlena Bloodgrave. Same thing with Twitch. I do stream like once in a blue moon on there. And if you really want to be out there, you can find me on TikTok if you really want to see some cringy ass cosplay that I do. And if you do follow me on Twitter, there will be some convention announcements that I will be planning.
Awesome. El Andre, where can we find you, buddy?
You can find me as Andre B Venom on Twitter. And yeah, that's about it.
Chaos, where can we find you?
You can find me on BitChute, which I'm now on exclusively because fuck YouTube. You can find me at Captain Chaos, and you can also find me on Twitter by the same name, Captain Chaos. And you can also, shameless plug, I do also do art commissions, so you will find the links there from my PayPal if you ever want me to do a commission for you. So yeah, just putting that out there. Yeah, that's shit.
All right, and you can find me on YouTube at Renegade Operative. You can find me on Twitter at RentOperative_. I will be working on something Dead Space related pretty soon, so that might break up the RE monotony because I've been doing a lot of fucking Resident Evil content. I think that's about it. Like, in terms of the other podcast I have to release, which is the Super Nintendo, that will be coming out later today, and this one, so look forward to it. We will see you people later, and once again, peace out.
Yeah.
Ciao.
Bye bye.